Hey guys, it's your boy M.K.S. back again with part two of my ideas for Italian football. Um, I hope everyone's well, and I hope I won't repeat too many points that I've already mentioned before. But I suppose some of you might have missed some of my previous videos anyway, and also uh, every now and then probably it's good to remind myself or others about some ideas. But anyway, I'll try and come up with some original and new ideas that I haven't covered before if I can help it. All being well. So anyway, hope people out there will enjoy this video. I did share part one with Serie A, the YouTube channel, and also with the Italian national team YouTube channel and Italian Football TV. And I probably should have shared it with, maybe I'll share this one with Forza Italian Football, which is another Italian YouTube channel. My channel, for those who may have stumbled across it, covers a range of things, not just football, but anyway, or soccer or whatever. So anyway, here goes. I'll try and get one list. Number 11. I hope to look at how Italian football can change and improve, like relations with other people from other nations through football. And thinking from I suppose this could apply to both the national and league teams. But I was thinking, what Serie A or the Italian league generally, or Italian leagues, so including the lower leagues like Serie B, Serie C, Serie D, or whatever, the lower leagues, and even grassroots football, and all that, what they can learn from other nations, such as, say, from the Premier League, which is the most successful league in terms of marketing and the richest league and all that, what they can learn from the Premier League in terms of bringing sponsors, television rights, and all sorts of things like that to compete. Excuse me. And also what they can learn from even, like, say, the Bundesliga. Like, what does the Bundesliga do well, because they've delivered some trophies, and the Liga as well has done very well, and even to an extent maybe the French league might do some things better than other leagues. So what they do well and what they don't do so well. So there might be some areas where the Premier League is weaker, there might be some areas where they're stronger. Obviously it'll be difficult to implement some of those things because they're cultural, like the Premier League being faster, people rush around more because it's not as, I think people say, because of the climate. Like in England it's cold, so you can probably run around more, but in Italy it's much warmer, so they realise that you have to pace yourself and that. But I think some will say laws aren't good. But anyway, yeah. So what Italian League can learn, and at least look at what they can implement. Excuse me, from I'll say the Premier League, the Bundesliga, the Liga, and the French league, Liga, or whatever it's called, and what mistakes to avoid, and what things they do well and what they don't do so well as well. So probably some of the pitfalls to avoid. But yeah, so the weaknesses and strengths of each of those leagues. The Premier League, I suppose, would be the main one, but also like how to forge relations with or connections with it, like the MLS, like Serie A can practice with the MLS quite a lot and things like that. Playing football with emerging nations like India and China, nations like that, which I've talked about before, like Asian nations, especially around Asia, and nations like they want to get into football as well. So like can practice with those a lot more. I hope that made sense. Again, I'd love to know what you think about each of these ideas. Number 12, I hope like to look at ways in terms of how to bring back some of the pride in Italian football. And I was thinking, like, as an Italian football fan, to me, I'm a general Italian football fan, so I don't support a specific Italian team. Like, I don't support AC Milan or Inter Milan or Juventus on their own. Like, when they play each other, I don't really care who wins. I've got this weird thing where I only care like when they play against non-Italian teams. So I want to see Italian teams winning in Europe and internationally. So I suppose I'm probably one of the few people in the world, if not the only person in the world, who just wants the Italian teams to do well generally. So I want to see whoever wins whoever wins Serie A, I want to see them win, or whoever represents Serie A in international competitions like the Champions League, the Europa League, and the World Club Cup, and the Super Cup and things like that. I want to see them do well, so that's why I want to bring sponsors in. But I think it would be great to support grassroots football and lower leagues, because that can help. Maybe that will have a shift and help Serie A teams anyway. So because especially younger players who do well, maybe like Serie A can scout players from lower leagues that so they can get more local Italian players to play as well. So the more Italians practice, the more it benefits. So the national team can work with the club teams and vice versa. Obviously, they produce good young players that will benefit the national team as well. So, and again, I've talked before about how it would save them money from having to buy other players, and also um, be able to sell those players on. So hopefully, financially will help the club teams, but it will also help the national team. And maybe they could train together as well. So the national team, and especially younger teams, can train with Serie A teams and things like that. I also hope to have connections with like Celtic as well, as I talked before about. So they practice against Celtic, will practice with Serie A teams, which hopefully will be mutually beneficial. And also, like if Celtic practice more also with lower league teams and with lower league teams and even grassroots teams, especially at the youth level, hopefully again will benefit those teams as well. Number 13. I hope to tackle some of the negative things like the violence or football hooliganism, and anything and things like that are negative about Italian football. Like take those, change those sorts of things and think about what needs changing. I know it's like I talk about learning from the Premier League, but I suppose one of the challenges would be Italian football, which is a bit slower or a lot slower and more defensive. It would be hard to implement some of those things that the Premier League does and stuff like that. But obviously, to look at what they can implement. And I must admit, as an anti-imperialist, it does feel a bit strange. And I've talked about this before, again, but it does feel a bit strange being an Italian fan, but because I've supported them for so long, because I think I look Italian. But anyway, so yeah, it does feel a bit strange to be an Italian football fan because I'm an anti-imperialist, but I like to mix it up anyway. So number 14. On that note, I hope to look at some of those, like how football can solve problems in society, like crime, instead of football hooliganism. The older players teach younger players. So, like ultras or people who are football hooligans instead can do stuff about learn how to coach younger players so that they are productive, and also like doing fundraising games to fundraise to tackle poverty around the world. So I'd love Serie A to do more of that sort of stuff. I think the Premier League does a lot more stuff to tackle poverty, and I think it'd be great if Serie A did something similar to help people in Asia and Africa and places like that around the world and improve relations through football. But hopefully that would also benefit Italian football. 15. Apologies if a lot of my ideas are kind of repetitive, but as I keep saying, but I do try and think of new ideas as well. So again, I'd love to hear different people's ideas so that so that there's new ideas, so it's not just the same old repetitive stuff. So if people come in new ideas as well in the comment section, I'd love to hear, especially from Italian fans, like what are your priorities for maybe like most people obviously support one particular club. Like so, if you're a Juventus fan, I'd love to know would they support AC Milan if they played in Europe against non-Italian teams, or would Juventus fans support other Italian clubs if they're playing non? And I think they should, because it's beneficial for the whole league. Because I remember when AC Milan played Arsenal and Arsenal beat us, say us as an Italian fan, recently, a year or two ago. I think it was only a year ago. Anyway, but someone was saying, one of the Arsenal fans was saying that the Italian league must be really poor because at that time AC Milan was doing really well in the league, but couldn't do well internationally. So the more Italian teams do well internationally, in international competitions, including European competitions, the better it will be for all Italian teams, I think. So I'd love to hear what Italian fans think about that. Like, would they support a rival team in Italy when they're playing non-Italian teams? As I believe they should. To me, whenever an Italian team plays a non-Italian team, I always support that Italian team personally. So I'd love to hear what Italian fans think about that. Number 16, again, I hope for Italian football, like especially the league, and maybe the national team as well, to learn from other leagues, but also like other businesses and other areas. So like even from maybe what football can learn from business generally, like how to attract more sponsors, how to market better, how to be more marketable, so we can get more. Say we as a fan get more funding into Italian football, and like think of new ideas, the open exchange of ideas, listening to each other's ideas as Italian football fans and things like that. Number 17, again, hope that there'll be new creative ideas and things that could be done to improve town football, like using imagination and looking at what dyslexic people can offer in terms of new ideas and things like that.
What's this been to?
That sort of thing. And number 18, again, hope that Italian football can look at like what it can market around the world about positive things like the successes of the past, like how it can use those to market the players who used to play in Italy, like how it bring back those glory days with like using positive stories to if that makes much sense, but I hope I'm making sense. Yeah, so like the victories from the past, like how it can be used to market football, to market the league in a better way. And number 19, again, I hope like Italian football fundraise for like supporting charity around the world, such as African software developers and things like that. So hopefully that will improve relations as well. So again, I hope that will come back to benefit Italian football. Like some people say, in business, the more you give, the more you get back. So I think like football is quite a business. So so I think it should be marketed like what we can learn from business. As again, we as a football fan. Number 20 again. I know this will be a challenge, but I hope for the ultras and football hooligans and all that, instead of being hooligans, to like find a more productive thing, like to train younger people and use that time more productively. So I'd love to get rid of crime and stuff like that from football. Anyway, I'd love to know what you think, as if my ideas are really too out there or whatever. And please enough.